And now, we've come to the portion of our show where we have to ask, what just happened? We can't believe it either, but let's take a look back at the insanity that was this week and look ahead to what will make us facepalm next week. This is What Just Happened on the Dean Obeidallah Show. Take it away, Dean.
And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. We're live Friday, January 18th, and something just happened minutes ago, which we have to talk about.
What was it?
We've got two great people here. Tina Dupuy, journalist, is back. Activist Tina, nice to see you.
Hi, Dean. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I haven't seen you. And Rob Paravonian, as I pronounce your last name even close to correctly.
Paravonian?
Paravonian, comedian. You may see him on
I think I had a Paravonian.
VH1. He had viral videos, and a couple of things happened. We just had Stephen Jenkins in here, which was kind of fun. And then on the unfun side, look, earlier in the show, I said, as a lawyer, that I went through the facts of Michael Cohen stuff, and I said, if this is true, here's the law. And I said, I don't know what's true. We're going to find out, and it may not. Well, Robert Mueller's office, in a stunning development, because they don't do this.
I literally screamed. I was stunned.
Here's what Robert Mueller, and this is true, folks. It's breaking news. We're not making this up. BuzzFeed, I'm reading it. BuzzFeed's description of specific statements, the special counsel's office, and characterization of documents and testimony obtained by this office regarding Michael Cohen's congressional testimony are not accurate, a spokesman said for Robert Mueller. So I don't know if they're being very specific and going like a few things they said are not accurate, but big picture it's right, or they're saying the whole thing is wrong. And they're just saying the description in the BuzzFeed article is not accurate.
But they're not adding clarity is the important part.
Well, they're undermining the story.
We're not getting clarity for another couple of probably years is what this is. It's a lot of, again, we have really no idea of what's going on. And that's, I think, the most stressful part of the Trump administration is seeing this person who clearly doesn't know what he's doing and not knowing what he's going to do next.
Rob, what's your gut reaction here as a comedian, guy who follows the news and stuff, that special counsel pushes back? Everybody's show for tomorrow and all cable news has just changed.
Yeah.
Because they're like, okay, let's flip it. Michael, it's not true. What does this mean to you, seeing this story?
I don't know, man. It's the way he says the descriptions of the documents are inaccurate or whatever, the actual verbiage was something like that, and it just makes me wonder, is it, like you were saying, does that mean they were tapes instead of emails? Does that mean they're completely false and made up out of nothing? Or does that mean, the typeface was wrong and it was on the wrong letterhead? It's maddening to wonder how many different ways it could be sliced.
Right. And the Mueller team's not going to dispute. It's not like they're playing a game. It's not like we have to say this is not true because Trump's going to freak out, because later it would come out it's true and go, why did you say this? So there's something wrong with BuzzFeed's reporting. There's no doubt about that. But we don't know the detail of it. And I don't know if Mueller's lawyering this thing, meaning literally like they said there were emails and there's not. But we're not going to deny that there's a lying that Michael Cohen was directed by Trump to lie. But I'm not saying they didn't say that. So when I look at their statement, it's really brief that it's not. We don't know it's true.
So as a prosecutor, what would be their need to clarify something in the public sphere that's not like it would have to affect their case or their talking to other witnesses somehow, wouldn't it? Because usually he doesn't say anything about anything.
Well,
right?
Adam Schiff earlier tonight said we would love Robert Mueller to tell us if this is true.
Interesting.
And that may have been
Russia, if you're listening.
Right. Because I didn't read that statement. It was earlier. Adam Schiff said if it's true, it's better you tell us sooner than later, because obviously we only have the House for 2 years for sure. And I think that's probably why. And
right, you have a lot of lawmakers. This is like the big break. If he's suborning perjury while president, all the other accusations, or most of the accusations, are from the campaign. So this would be an abuse of power as he was a sitting president, and that would be a grounds for impeachment for sure. So if that's not what Michael Cohen has, and that's not what Mueller has, I mean, he really does need to.
I'm looking for the Adam Schiff comment, but I'm just paraphrasing, and then Mueller's going to release a statement saying my statement was wrong.
Yeah,
but
no, I'm sure he listens to the show.
Dean Obeidallah's statement was wrong, but what's bad about this in the big picture is now anything that comes out by any media outlet, Trump will go, well, that other story was fake news.
But he does that for everything anyway.
Right. So I mean, it was funny when They were like, it's BuzzFeed. I'm like, the New York Times could have broken this and you would have said it was bullshit. And Washington Post could have broken it. It didn't matter the actual story. But this is very interesting, though, you make a great point. Why did Mueller do this? And is it in response to Adam Schiff? Because he didn't want the House Democrats to start an investigation that was
start an
based...
impeachment and
you would think it would have to
and be off false information. That's really bad.
Yeah, it would have to impact his investigation somehow, because otherwise he doesn't ever say anything about anything.
That guy who wrote that story might not want to have this on his resume. And
yeah, they're two people. CNN's also already gone after him, saying
earlier.
Yeah, they said he had a checkered past, and I said most of the journalists I know should have a checkered past. It would make them better journalists.
Right.
Also, his quiz said I was a Miranda, and I'm clearly a Charlotte.
Right, they BuzzFeed, all their BuzzFeed stories. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. It just shows all of us here, folks, that when it comes to legal stuff, there's no need to be over the top. Things are going to prove themselves or not prove themselves over time. And if there's a trial, it's different. We all see the evidence together. But in this kind of what we're seeing go on, I'm glad that we were calmer. Okay, let's go to story number one here.
Let's go to calmer stories like racism.
Right. Donald Trump today combined racism and bigotry in the same argument because he's been rallying against. He wants the wall because he says, Mexicans are rapists and they're bringing crime. It's an invasion, all that bullshit over and over. And then today, quoting the Washington Examiner, which is lower than BuzzFeed, I can assure you, it's a crap paper. He tweets, quote, border rancher, we found prayer rugs out there. It's unreal. Washington Examiner. Then he writes, people coming across the southern border from many countries, some of which would be a big surprise. So... And later in the day, the border rancher said they also saw Aladdin there, which is kind of unnerving. So we had Aladdin and Jafar maybe far behind.
That explains the prayer rugs.
Because Aladdin is very religious. Most people don't know.
Religious.
Aladdin actually means Aladdin. It means on religion. It means Deen is Arabic for religion. D-E-I-N. Like my name Deen means faith or religion in Arabic, but we spell it D-E-A-N. So we have no problems at the airport. But D-I-N would be how the basis for my name is. So Aladdin, it's not Aladdin. We've made it a lot of.
So you are Muslim as a homonym, right? Not as an actual. So your name is not Muslim unless you are claiming a homonym.
My last name has the word Allah in it. Obidallah.
Yeah. Well, everyone's last name has Allah in it.
It will in the future when we take over and have Sharia. Everyone's going to have. We should talk about the March for Christian Sharia today at some point.
Yeah, well, we should absolutely do
Rob,
that. But I mean, he's not just being racist, and he's not just being homophobic, and he's not just being sexist. I mean, what he tweeted today was akin to a blood libel. He is saying that people who are crossing the border asking our government to give them safe haven because they are going to be killed without it. They are saying that these people are invaders, that they are going to hurt us, that they are terrorists, and they are also using their code language, prayer rugs. And so, because you say that to me, I'm not a right winger. When I hear someone has a prayer rug, I go, that's cool, man.
Right.
I think when I first
moved to reaction on the other side.
Yeah, right. When I first moved to Los Angeles, when I first moved to New York, and I was walking down 8th Avenue one day, and all of the vendors that were out on the street all started praying at the same time. And I was like, this is the coolest city in the world. Like, it was like I could walk out of my door and could travel, and I could meet people from all over, and I could, and it was fantastic. But when you say prayer rug, where they're finding that to someone who is let's say a Trump supporter, it means a very specific thing, and that is akin to a blood libel.
And they'll repeat
You're
that
saying
over
that they're
over.
Right, and they will,
right,
and because
the prayer rugs, really,
but George Bush was really good on two things. One was that he never used the verbiage that Trump uses. He never he never went after Islam. He never banned Muslims. And he was also really good on Africa. But other than that, he was horrible. But he did right with two things.
Well, they had a special registration program.
Like 180 degrees from that.
Rob, what is your take on this?
Well, it's a similar thing that, racism and Islamophobia is to the point where we are supposed to be afraid of rugs. That's really what's implied by the tweet. It's like, oh my gosh, rugs. They didn't find bomb-making materials. They didn't find a manual on how to fly a plane. No, it was a rug. And And especially because this story is one of those like urban myths that keeps popping up. Like
Right.
the only other times it was ever printed they were all debunked, and the only time it was printed with a picture recording along with the story was I think it was Breitbart in 2014. And the prayer rug turned out to be an Adidas soccer jersey. You remember that story? And so like
I've prayed on many a time, but it's a different story. No,
You're not supposed to pray on that.
it doesn't. The prayer
then
rug is for
doesn't
also
work.
in
you
this
don't need to pray on a rug.
in this very
Just
same article.
pray. God hears you on a rug or not.
In this very same article, that same rancher who with no corroboration about the prayer rug thing also says that Czechoslovakians are coming across the border, sneaking across the neighbor's ranch. Like, were they cutting across my neighbor's property? Are the Czechoslovakians, which is not a country anymore, and for
It's in the 90s, I think, maybe.
right? And I'm not sure why that was
Liz
supposed
Cheney
to be scary.
is still, she's now serving in Congress,
I
by the way.
saw Archduke Ferdinand ran across my lawn.
Yeah,
It's like,
East Germany
what?
is attacking us right now.
So it's interesting that it was debunked, and this person was anonymous source, and Trump hates anonymous sources unless he can cite it to gin up fear. We know his base will repeat they had prayer rugs. So these religiously devout people who kept their prayer rugs for thousands of miles get close to the border and finally, that's it. I'm giving it up on it. I've had enough. I deserve a new prayer rug now. None of it makes sense. This woman, I have no doubt, the rancher, I watched the video. There's actually a video where she talks to the reporter. You can't see her face. I doubt she has any idea the difference between a small poncho and a prayer rug.
But they also support a liar, and they don't mind lying. They don't believe that part of the 10 Commandments, the false witness thing. They just don't. That doesn't ever occur to them as something that they should not do. In fact, lying to further the cause is something that religious zealots are more than happy to do. So I would be very skeptical of someone who is an anonymous source trying to give Trump propaganda.
Yeah, and it's also that urban myth thing where like she might. She obviously this didn't happen. This is not firsthand information that she has,
Right.
but she heard it third hand from a neighbor or something, and so she just says, "We found it." Like we, us, like. You
don't understand though. Our real scam is we leave our prayer rugs, then we claim that land. It's ours. It's a victory prayer rug. You don't understand how
Right.
this
It's like a
works.
flag.
Wherever we leave it, it's I got it. That's my prayer rug. And
Oh, you don't have a prayer rug? It's ours.
that's whatever. I see my prayer rug right there. This whole territory is mine now. It's interesting. We're going to hear people on the right repeat it. It doesn't matter. Facts don't matter to the Trump world. But, you touched on religion. It made me think today, it wasn't on our list of topics, but today was the March for Life, or I call the March for Sharia law. Christian Sharia.
I call the
Christian Sharia.
will you or won't you kill baby Hitler?
Well, that was the
March.
Ben Shapiro clip, which I really should have pulled. Maybe we'll pull it later and just play it. That made no sense. But then again, it was Ben Shapiro. I mean, I thought it was dubbed at first.
Then again, it was the March for Life.
Well, there's been,
Like, come on.
But this March for Life, I mean, let me ask you this honestly. Hundreds of thousands of Muslims have a rally in Washington, D.C. and want the Quran to be the basis of our laws. How would the reaction be of the same people at that event today who want the Bible to be the basis for our laws? And thankfully, we don't have Muslims doing this because we believe in separation of church and state, or mosque and state, whatever you want to call it. On the right, and there's Mike Pence, the vice president there, essentially wanting to bring Christian Sharia, turning religious beliefs into ways to oppress women in this country. That's like Saudi Arabia bullshit. It's happening here, and people just go like, well, that's normal. It's not normal. Call it out for what? It's Christian Sharia.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
But
I feel
also
better now.
this march happens every single year. Most of the time, it does not get any kind of press coverage whatsoever because there's absolutely no story. They were there during both Obama inaugurations. It was the day after the inaugurations was the March for Life, and the only thing that made it interesting was that Pence was there, and then Ben Shapiro said something really profoundly weird
during the break. We'll try to pull his clip and do that. But
yeah, if you were wondering why baby Hitler was trending on
so
Twitter
let's go to break, Lauren. When we go to break, let's play, because we didn't play it when Stephen Jenkins was here. But here's one of my favorite songs of Third Eye Blind as we go out. Just play 20, 30 seconds of it. Clip number 3.
Everyone I know has got a reason to say, put the past away. Wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. You could cut ties with all the lies that you've been living in. And if you do not want to see me again, I would understand.
The Dean Ovidala Show.
My slogan for Trump in 2020, Trump for prison 2020.
Sirius XM Progress. Your entire week's exhausting news broken down in one hilarious hour. What Just Happened is now live with Dean Obeidallah.
Welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show, Friday, January 18th. So, how would you like a great New Year's resolution that's going to be good for you? Good for your family probably as well. And that is a great night's sleep. And how do you get that? Well, Boll & Branch sheets. That's right, Boll & Branch sheets. 100% organic. I sleep on them. I tell you this all the time. They are great. Every time I wash them, they get softer and they still look great. They are luxury sheets, half the cost and not half the quality because they sell directly to you through their website. There's no stores involved. There's no markup. They have thousands of 5-star reviews, loved by hundreds of thousands of Americans, including 3 U.S. presidents who will go unnamed, none of them Trump. And I sleep on them, and I'm telling you sincerely, they're great, and you can try them out 30 nights risk-free. And if they're not great for you, you can send them back full refund. And they also have great blankets and towels. And right now, you can get $50 off your first set of sheets plus free shipping. If you go to bollandbranch.com, BOLL and branch.com, and when you check out, use promo code DEAN, as in me, Dean, D-E-A-N, $50 off and free shipping. Again, bollandbranch.com, promo code DEAN. So I'm here with Tina Dupuy and Rob Paravonian.
This is the first time I've ever had someone pronounce my name correctly.
I know you. I know you well, though.
Well, yeah, you've had lots of time to practice.
Well, no, I know Hovnanians, so I should just make this Paravonian.
Yeah, the way it's like pa as in ha, ravo rhymes with bravo, and then neon. Like if you're saying the word neon all in one syllable. Paravonian.
Does that help anyone?
Help anyone.
Paravonian.
Paravonian.
Yeah.
Rob Paravonian, everybody. Comedian. See my Comedy Central VH over there. Paravonian, it's stuck in there. It's going to last.
That is my stage name because I'm a genius.
My name's Obeidallah. I mean.
I kept saying if people could say Schwarzenegger, they could say Paravonian, but I was wrong.
I imagine you've heard everything and I've heard everything introducing me at events or comedy over
How often do people get your first name wrong? Because people sometimes even call me Ron or Rod. Like they'll even get that wrong. Because they're so worried about the last name that they just totally flake on the one syllable first name.
I've not. Tina, what's the most common mispronunciation of your last name?
Dupuy.
Dupuy?
Dupuy.
Dupuy's the funny though. That's funny. Dupuy.
Dupuy. And you're like, dude, it's like that's only there's only 5 letters. It's not that hard.
It's vaguely...
But the most common mispronunciation of my last name is Obadiah. Obadiah is all the time. People say that
they want you to be the Black Dahlia.
Well, there's a book in the Bible, Obadiah. It's a name, Obadiah. Yeah. So they look at it and they think Obadiah,
or they think the 2 L's are a Y, like in Spanish.
Obadiah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whatever it is, it's the number one most common mispronunciation. Then Osama bin Laden, number 2, right after Dean Osama bin Laden.
Dupuy,
Dupuy with almost like a little weird, like lispy thing.
Well, it's called French. It's the whole goddamn language.
And I'm glad
it's like a lispy thing.
And I'm glad you had the French attitude down pat as well there. Okay, let's talk about someone who's a little less French than you, more Italian, like my mom, Nancy Pelosi, who this week sent a letter to Trump going, boom, how about you're not coming to my house? Yeah. How do you think of that? First of all, before we get into Trump's response, what was your reaction? When you first saw Nancy Pelosi's letter, she couldn't cancel, but she said she did it to get press, knowing maybe you shouldn't come into the House when you shut the government down. What's your reaction?
She knows how to use her power and she knows how to use publicity, and she can play this dude like a fiddle. The thing is, he loves having a joint session of Congress. With the Joint Chief of Staff and the Supreme Court and his cabinet and everybody there to applaud him and tell him that he's a good boy, and then he can, if he reads everything on his teleprompter, everyone will go, that was so presidential. And he loves it. The thing is, the government is not working. It is not paying people who are working for the government. The government is shut down because Trump is apparently a submissive to Ann Coulter, and she's his dom. And because she won't give him permission to open the government, and has told him that if he doesn't build this wall within the next 18 months, then no one's going to vote for him. Which is hilarious because no one's going to vote for him anyway.
I hope not.
There's no way to
She needs Secretary protection and Coulter. She's very important.
Right now,
she should
fly around and.
But what
Air
about?
Force.
Do you think Nancy Pelosi? Because this is great for the State of the Union. It's no longer Paul Ryan sitting behind Trump. It's Nancy Pelosi. I hope she puts those little cards up, like you have your cards, Rob, like lie, like lies, fact check, this isn't true.
Yeah.
I want the
NancyPelosi.com.
government needs to be open before that happens. I mean, it takes so much to put on that kind of pageantry. It takes a lot of military personnel. No, I've never been. It has to happen in order to.
So, Robin, what was your reaction when you saw that story? Because part of me feared, is it going to look petty by doing that? My first thing, and then Trump's response just blew that out.
Yeah.
So we don't have to get into that.
Right.
What was your reaction when you first
Pelosi knows better than you.
Right, I know. I agree.
Well, she at least, she did have more logical standing. I think my assumption was her main reason for doing it was to, sort of needle him. But, she at least had the logical backing to do it, like, because the government is shut down, you can't have a big event like that. And, but I think on some level, though, as much as Trump likes all the attention and he likes, like, as you were saying, like, to be able to get applauded by one half of the room and then be able to yell at the other half of the room while they have to stare at him,
right.
I think on some level he is so relieved because you hand him anything longer than 2 pages to read and the dude gets vertigo. And, he loves speaking at his rallies where he could just speak off the cuff, and he's like a hacky road comic who does crowd work, and he's just, he loves that. I don't think he likes the reading of the thing. It's so hard for him
reading
to just
hard.
Yeah, and he,
that's how we got the wall in the first place. It was a way for him to remember to talk about border
Wall,
security.
Pay for.
And so it was a way to remember. It's like, don't forget to talk about national security. I'm like, oh, wall.
So I think he should, on some level I thought it was cool because, she did it kind of, clearly there was an element of it to irk him, but she at least had some logical backing and,
It's also interesting you mentioned that he's like a comedian. I just interviewed Colin Quinn last week, and it came up where Colin's like, he's like a comedian. He understands humor at sometimes, and he finds his joke and he repeats them over and over and over and again. But he's like a hacky comedian who doesn't write a lot of new material and just recycles the same garbage over and over.
Well, and that's
he doesn't laugh.
He's humorless.
And this is the one area where I do feel like I have the expertise to critique him in depth, and it's true. Like, the only thing I'll disagree with Colin on is that I don't think he understands humor. I think he understands when the audience reacts to something, and he does more of that. But I don't think he understands what makes something funny because he can't imagine what other people are thinking, or he can't put himself in other people's position.
I don't know.
It's a good point. No, humor takes empathy. You're right.
His jokes keep getting worse and worse. Like the bit about the cop, the cop tells me I make him think like I make him like a genius because the stock market is doing so well and my 401k is great. That's a joke that someone probably told him. It's like, oh, cops think you're a genius because their 401ks are doing well. Funny joke, 2 lines. He turns it into a 5-minute story that's not funny anymore because I don't think he understands he understands when the audience reacts, so he just keeps doing that more and more.
I want you guys to hold a thought here. We've got Jay from Texas with a call that seems plausible. It might make us actually happy if it's true, but he's making me think it could be. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking around. Jay from Texas. How are you, Jay?
Tell us, Jay.
Yeah. The Southern District, Mueller called and said that, it's all they got nothing to do with it. But the Southern District in New York, they saying that's where the story comes from.
This is interesting. Jay is saying, people, hang on, let me remind, because that was like a segment ago.
Yeah.
We're talking about this report from BuzzFeed last night that Michael Cohen was directed to lie to Congress by Donald Trump. Then about an hour ago, Robert Mueller's report stunningly puts a report up because the BuzzFeed reporting referenced the Mueller investigation. The Mueller people came out and go, we're pushing back. It's not accurate. Jay's saying that it wasn't the Mueller people. It was from the Southern District of New York, where Michael Cohen has pled guilty to lying to Congress.
No, the Mueller is the one who gave the made the statement. I mean, what?
No. There's no doubt, right? Yeah. I'm saying he's like Mueller is saying accurate. That's right. Mueller's like, this didn't come from us. It's not even accurate.
No, Mueller is not disputing that Cohen told Trump to lie.
What?
He's disputing the line about the corroborating evidence.
So where's that emails. From? Where are you getting that from?
This is from Ken Delillian.
From MS. Yeah, he's
Delanian.
He's
Armenian.
Another. You guys are everywhere.
Your name's Armenian. Now that makes a lot of sense.
So Jay, first of all, here, what Tina just said is actually interesting because they were lawyering it. That Mueller was really lawyering it, meaning we were disputing one little part of the story, and people were going like the whole story is false. But they were saying they were really being lawyers and going like wordsmiths, saying this specific thing was wrong. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. The peanuts are falling down my throat. Jay, go ahead. Tell us your theory, though. Jay.
My opinion is President Trump, pardon the French, he's fucked. Pardon my French. He's fucked,
I'm
man.
with you, Jay.
That's a legal term, I hope.
Let me tell you something, my man. I am a native New Yorker.
Right.
And we like to make you squeal. You know, like we know we got you by the balls. We like to just watch you.
So you think?
I love you, Jay.
All right, Jay. But Jay, thanks for the thought to it, because I think you're also
Jay,
onto
you made
something.
my day. You made
It
my
might
evening,
be
but
Southern
definitely
District of
my
New York
entire
is
day.
involved. And although BuzzFeed didn't say Southern District of New York, and it might be because they're covering for a source, but we'll find out. All right, Jay, thanks for the call. But what you found out, Tina, too, is very interesting, because I was wondering.
Well, because but you don't need. I mean, the statute doesn't say that you have to have like all this, evidence, and it doesn't need to be documented. That you don't need to have emails.
It goes before a jury.
It doesn't have to be
Beyond a
written
reasonable
down. Right, exactly. A witness is evidence. Period. And a witness giving their statement is a evidence. And so when they talk about no evidence, they don't actually know what that means.
I read it earlier for people. The statute,
Yeah.
for those playing at home, it's 18 U.S.C. section 1622.
It's
which
22.
says,
my favorite,
exactly.
1621.
This is one of the shortest federal statutes ever. I'm not kidding. It's one sentence statute. You don't see, usually there's usually subsections. This really has nothing. It simply says, whoever procures another to commit any perjury is guilty of subordination of perjury and shall be fined under this title or in prison not more than 5 years or both. And I explained to everyone, subordination just means you induce someone to lie under oath. So for whatever reason, you go lie for me, and they do it, you're both guilty of you're guilty of perjury with one guy, and the other person's guilty of subordination, but
in this case, Trump, it's very easy to prove that Trump was lying. Because you have a full cooperating witness who was his fixer and who did this for him.
You need to prove this. You need two things. You need a person to lie under oath. You have that fulfilled because Michael Cohen pled guilty to lying under oath to Congress in November. So that's done. You just need now, did someone tell him to lie under oath? And and we don't have the facts yet, so I'm waiting for it. But it's plausible that Donald Trump, the way he runs things, told him, or at least even inferred to him, do the right thing.
No, he told him, make it happen. Like, I mean,
I don't think Trump's stupid enough to go lie under oath.
Yes,
I don't think that happened.
Yes, he is. Oh, come on. Really? You're giving him the benefit of the
doubt?
No, because
after
all of this time, you're still giving him the benefit of the doubt.
He's been since 2006, Michael Cohen, Executive Vice President of Trump Organization, meaning you can speak in shorthand, like do the right or take care of this. I'm going to Congress. All right. And he says, don't worry, Mr. Trump, I'll do the right thing. And he goes, of course you will. That kind of stuff. And get out of here. Slash low energy. Sad. No?
Nah.
Okay.
No. I don't know why you're trying to argue that Trump's probably not guilty of this.
I am not. I am lawyering this myself because I will not, until I see evidence, I'm not going to tell you Donald Trump is guilty. I want him to be guilty, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to be hyperbolic when it comes to legal stuff. It's different.
Right. No, that's true.
That's the whole thing.
But
you told everyone
you
were
not a judge, and you were not working on his case. And as a private citizen, you can say this dude is crooked as fuck.
Oh, absolutely. No, Donald Trump is a scumbag liar who I have no doubt has directed people to lie.
Words that are horrible enough to really match how awful.
I got
this
a few
man is.
words.
Yeah, no, I have. They're just they don't.
Let's
feel like
take a break.
The French have some.
We're going to
words.
come
The French
back.
have a lot of
We're
words.
going to come back and play my favorite. Oh no, we didn't finish.
Oh my gosh!
Now let me ask you guys this. So you have Nancy Pelosi does the Pelosi thing. Boom! Don't come here. Trump responds. The petty little jackass he is. What was I'll start with you, Rob. Trump's response about, oh, now you can't fly on the plane, okay? That kind of thing. And I'm going to out where you're going to see the Taliban. What do you think of that?
Well, it was supposed to be a military plane, right? So, the military is funded, so he doesn't, he clearly doesn't know which parts of the government are working and which, that's a
good point.
It further shows that he doesn't understand the job that he's in or the company that he works for.
I just like how he thinks it's punitive to keep Nancy Pelosi and other members of her caucus from going and visiting the troops. It's not like she was going to go and, and have some pina coladas on a beach somewhere. He's like, no, I'm going to punish you by not letting the troops feel like their government cares about them and cares about their concerns. I mean, I have my mentor on the Hill just got back from Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
There are still daily suicide bombers. When I would talk to him on it, he would tell me about, they would find, they would find like random heads because people are still blowing themselves up. They get into gunfire with people, the military is engaging with terrorists. Still, we are fighting this war. It's America's longest war. And this is a man who had, 5 deferments for his little bone spurs.
Right.
And he has visited the troops all of one time his entire life. And the one time when the new Congress and the new very powerful Speaker of the House, very influential, to deny her the ability to look at people serving our government and say, we are listening to you, it's just repugnant. He is a horrible person.
I get that part. And so he said, oh, why don't you take a commercial flight unless you want to do that?
And then he leaked the details of that so they would never. So it's like how he pissed on the mattress that Obama slept on.
Let's take a break. But when we go to commercial, we'll go out to a Colbert joke about this whole exchange and that she can go take a commercial flight. So let's hear clip 4 as we go to commercial.
Trump has the power to do this because Pelosi was flying military transport and he's the commander-in-chief. But Trump did give her another option, saying, obviously, if you would like to make your journey by flying commercial, that would certainly be your prerogative. All right, she can fly commercial to Afghanistan. I'm sure JetBlue offers daily nonstop flights to a war zone. Hello, folks. This is your captain. Just wanted you to look out. If you wanted to look out the left side of your plane right now, you can see the Khyber Pass. And if you look out the right side, you can see the smoking stump where our wing used to be. We will be landing slightly ahead of schedule, so you might not get to finish Mamma Mia. Here we go again.
The Dean Obeidallah Show.
I think Trump clips that they play on the media should come with a health warning saying that if you watch this, you'll get dumber. Never has somebody said so much stupid in so little time as Donald Trump does.
SiriusXM Progress.
entire week's exhausted news broken down into one hilarious hour. What Just Happened is now live with Dean Obeidallah.
And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah's show. We're live here. What Just Happened? Joined by Tina Dupuy and Rob with a very difficult last name. Very funny. Paravonian.
That's why my handle is Rob P. Rocks on all
Rob P. Rocks
on the social platforms.
What was that, Matt? Was Matt yelling Paravonian? Paravonian. There I go. Paravonian.
You
see that? Richard Ojeda. I'm trying to do all the names I got right. Mark Morel I got wrong. How do you pronounce his name? Morel. Mark Morial. We had him on last week. I screw up people's names. I'm really good with Muslim names.
Yeah.
Give me any of those names, but you white people, you're actually brownish. So let's talk about.
They're Catholic. Their country's been Catholic since like before the Pope. It's not even a joke.
Armenians, yeah. But let's talk.
Since like the 900, right?
300s.
Something like. Wow. Yeah. See, I knew.
Tomorrow,
I was exaggerating, but not.
Humor me. Let's continue on. We got to do our game. No. Let's do, because we didn't do it last week. Let's do, Lauren, you know the game.
Now, it's time for America's newest game show sensation.
Guess who's said it?
And welcome back to the game within a game. Now we play Guess Who Said It. I'm going to read a quote. I'll give you 4 options. And you guys tell me. Tina's actually upsettingly very good at this game. Okay, here, quote number 1.
I try to not be good.
You're very smart and you're well read. Here we go. Ready? None of it's collusion. None of it's illegal. This is absurd. Sorry, absurd. None of it's collusion. None of it's illegal. This is absurd. Sarah Huckabee, or as I call her, Sarah Suckabee Sanders, with Sebastian Gorka, Matt Schlapp, or Donald Trump.
All of the above?
It could be, but there's one specific one who gave that exact quote today.
Today.
I'm going to go Shuckster. Is my guess.
Well, I already gave my answer. I think they all said it.
No, it was Matt Schlapp. You can't guess them all. Matt Schlapp said
well,
on
yes,
Fox
I can.
News. No.
You're not my boss.
Yes, okay. Regarding Trump's claim of a crisis at the southern border, quote, it is a myth. This was said today. Was it Rachel Maddow, Shep Smith, Chuck Schumer, or Will Hurd?
I'm going to go with Chuck.
It's Will Hurd.
You got that.
I read an article that.
Yeah, I've quoted Will Hurd a lot. He's a Republican congressman who has 800 miles of the border.
Yeah.
Former CIA operative, and he goes,
he's
wall.
black. He's a black Republican.
It might be Latino or mixed. I'm not sure.
He
might, but
unless there's another.
He says
Republican
it's only the one Will Hurd.
800 miles.
But he said that the wall is the most ineffective and cost-inefficient way of doing border security.
It was a very good interview. I think it was Rolling Stone is where I read it. But I've been to that district.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, there's a school there. Sul Ross University, one of the colleges there in Alpine, Texas. But yeah, it's enormous and it's sparsely populated.
All right, here goes one. This is probably going to be easy, but you never give advance notice of going into battle area. You just never do. Perhaps the president's inexperience didn't have him understand that protocol. A, Joe Biden. B, Nancy Pelosi. C, James Mattis. D, Sebastian Gorka.
Why is Gorka on the
just
choice?
fun to
like
say.
I thought, wasn't
he? He said something today.
He actually said something today. Oh,
he did actually. I'm going to read that to you.
Do you have a
Okay, what's your guess? What's your guess? Is it Biden?
Gorka.
My guess is Mattis.
Neither.
Wrong.
Nancy Pelosi.
I was for me, I thought it was too obvious.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a black Republican, by the way.
I knew he was of color. I didn't know if he was Latino or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hurd is the only black Republican in the House.
Wow. Because Mia Love was the only woman, and she's gone.
Right.
Got defeated in Utah. So, who said today about CNN's Jim Acosta, "You are a dickhead," and said it in the press briefing room? Was it Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Hogan Gidley, who's the second guy in charge, an idiot from Washington Examiner, or Sebastian Gorka?
I think it's Sebastian
Yeah,
Gorka.
I'm going with Gorka this time.
I don't know how he got in there. He actually did. Gorka did, but Jim Acosta.
I figure if I just say Gorka's name enough, I'm going to get it
Gorka
right.
to us is a day-walking vampire. He's like, I'm Gorka. He's like, you are a dickhead.
I was booked to be on the BBC with him, and
What happened,
they canceled about a half an hour before the segment came on. I'm crushed.
Sebastian Gorka will be sleeping then. He drinks his blood at the time of his show. He cannot. Okay, let's have one more. This is an absurdity. Can you imagine any president of the United States being dumb enough to say to someone, I'd like you to go over and lie to Congress? Actually, we can. A, Rush
the whole
Limbaugh.
problem.
B, Sean Hannity. C, some idiot on Fox and Friends, or D, Newt Gingrich. It's absurdity. Can you imagine any president of the United States being dumb enough?
In fairness, it all sounds like some idiot on Fox and Friends. To be fair.
What were the first two again?
Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Steve Ducey from, I call him Ducey from Fox and Friends, or Newt Gingrich.
I'm going to guess Hannity.
Oh, I don't know. Gingrich. He needs...
Wrong. No, you're right. You're wrong. It was Gingrich.
Wait, who's right?
You're right.
Newt.
I'm right.
Newt was the one. Newt.
They all sound like Giuliani to me, too.
Yeah, Giuliani's sounding more and more like Trump. Well, I think that Giuliani is doing a service. He is making Trump not seem as erratic or stupid, just by comparison.
Yeah.
So that is a huge service. He is serving his client, and not the country, but definitely his client. I think that dementia doesn't look like lying. Right. I'm sorry. Mental illness doesn't make you a liar. Losing your mind doesn't make you a liar. Being a liar,
he's much more calculated.
Makes you a liar.
Yeah, he's never been good at the TV head thing. I remember back in the 2004 debates, and it was the first time I saw him post mayoring, and he was in the spin room trying to spout off zingers and try to be like the TV talking head, and he just was terrible at it. And he's never been good at it, and he's just getting worse and weirder.
Well,
yeah, that is true. It is going down.
We got a few minutes now. Tomorrow's the third Women's March, the least anticipated in a way it seems like, in that the first one was unexpected, amazing response. 2 was pretty much look forward to. This one has been embroiled in controversy. Have you gone to the other Women's Marches,
yes.
Tina?
Only in New York.
Rob, did you ever go?
Yeah, they were always scheduled on the same day I had a show. So, I have a show on the third Saturday of the month, and the tax march, all these marches seem to be, all the activism was happening on that, so no.
So, Tina, you went to the one in New York before. You have any plans to go tomorrow?
No, it's going to be snowing, and I taken my mentee every year because it's her birthday. She turned 11 on the first Women's March, 12 last year, and this year it's 13. And she came down with a fever this week, so she's sick. I'm not going to go. But I think that our media is very focused on any kind of conflict.
Yes, they love
that is,
yes.
if it argues, it leads. Right. And so I think that they really like, especially when it comes to liberals. There's this kind of well-worn trope that liberals are always divided against one another and fighting amongst themselves. And that's always true because we are liberals and we like to talk stuff out, and we don't look like we're in lockstep all the time. So there's always, that always appears to be true. And women are the same way, where, they like to talk things out and have opinions and argue. So this has been public, and it has been augmented by a press that just wants to see something that is so overwhelming, such a phenomenon. The first Women's March, I was stuck in a corral for 4 hours, and it was freezing, and nobody's cell phones worked, and so because there were too many people, and we had no idea what was going on, and so I finally got a reporter on my phone. I had to call him, and I was like, I am standing with thousands of people. We have not moved in 4 hours. What is going on? And he said there are 5 times more than they expected in DC. They can't even march couldn't even march to the White House because there were so many people. And in New York, there were so many people, we could only walk maybe about, I would say, a mile an hour, if I'm exaggerating. So it was a really unique experience being a New Yorker and seeing the city while you weren't walking, you weren't moving, but it had such a this way of making people feel, and it was also miraculous because there was not one arrest the first Women's March, not one, even in Oakland.
I didn't even know that
there was not one arrest. They had a protest in Oakland and no one got arrested. I don't know if that's ever happened because no one wants to mess with their mom, in a pussy hat. And so I think, and what has come out of the Women's March is obviously we've had a record number of women running for office and a record number of women being in office, and we therefore now have a historic Congress, and the 116th is the most diverse Congress, and it's the most representative Congress, at least on one side, of what America looks like. So I think that as we focus on the schism that we have with these two women, or these a couple women, and of course what they're fighting over is what some dude said, which is really.
But I wrote an article for the Daily Beast today about how the legacy of the Women's March is the impact it had on the resistance, and the legacy shouldn't be just this controversy, but the controversy is a real issue, and I get it. Rob, any quick thing before I have to go to break?
Yeah, I think it was a great start to the reaction to the Trump presidency, because it was the day after he was inaugurated, and when he was, the most that we knew about him at the time was he was a horrible idiot misogynist. It was before all the Russia Flynn stuff came out, so I think it was great that was what started the movement.
Let's take a quick break. Come right back with more of the Dean Obeidallah Show.
Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress 127. Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.
Welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show, live Friday, January 18th. How would you like to get the softest sheets you've ever slept on? And I'm telling you, I can promise you they are, because they're Boll and Branch sheets, and I've been sleeping on them now for over a year, several sets. Every time I wash them, they get softer. 100% organic cotton. They are the most restful, satisfying sleep that I've ever gotten. And here's the thing. You can try them 30 nights risk-free. And if it's not the same for you, you get a full refund. But I think you're going to love these sheets. They're luxury sheets at half the cost because they cut out the middle person. Just buy directly online at bollandbranch.com. They get 5-star reviews from thousands of people. And right now, $50 off if you go to bowlandbranch.com and use promo code Dean. That's BOLL branch.com. When you check out, it says a promo code box, type in DEAN, Dean. So check it out, bowlandbranch.com, promo code Dean. Tina and Rob, so we only like a minute left. Tell us, where can people follow you, Rob? Because obviously your last name's not working.
Rob P. Rocks, ROBPROCKS.com on Twitter, Instagram, all those things. Come check out some music
and Rob's
and comedy.
touring. He's a hilarious comedian. Check him out wherever he is. Tina?
My last name is Dupuy, spelled D-U-P-U-Y as in Yankee. And
as in Yankee?
You can follow me all over the place, but I don't tweet anymore.
Really?
Well, I'm
on Twitter
I
at
tweet
Dean Obidala.
I tweet, but
Dean at DeanOfRadio.com.
I don't. If it's not going to get rid of Trump, I feel like I'm wasting my time.
Sunday night, if you're in New York, Brown Comedy Show at the Comic Strip, 8 o'clock. I'll be there. And Fred Nino used to work on the show. We'll be in the show. That's the Comic Strip, New York City. Sunday night, I'm producing, and I'll be in the show. Have a great weekend. Rob, Tina, thanks very much for being here. Thanks, Lauren and Matt.
Thank you, Dean.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.